Hi, this is Sara Levin, the Artful Inker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and today I'm here with a couple of alternatives for the November 2020 paper pumpkin kit, Jolly Gingerbread. So we're going to start with one of these cute houses from the kit, and I've got a piece of Whisper White that I've cut to 2 3/8 by 4 3/4, and I'm just going to take this house and slide it right up here to the top. And let's make sure that we're lined up, and then I'm going to take my pencil and trace along the edges where I can. Of course, we've got our chimneys in the way, but that's okay. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing here at the top of a piece of Blushing Bride. I just want to make sure that I'm lined up. This one is just a smidge larger than the other. This was 2 3/8. This is 2 1/2. This was 4 3/4. So this is 4 7/8. Okay, and let's just trace along the top here. Okay, and put this out of the way. So I'm going to start by cutting my Whisper White right along. As I said, you've got enough pencil line to cut straight lines. And then we want to do the same thing here with our Blushing Bride. And then for our Blushing Bride, before I go any further, I want to use this gray kneadable eraser that you can find in the drafting section at the office supply store. It's great for getting pencil marks off. And then I've got the Label Me Fancy punch from the annual catalog. And I just want to stick my the tip of this in here, not so that I'm up in here, because that would cut it off. So I'm just checking to see that I am centered more or less, but not into the next section. And then I've got some Whisper White crinkled seam binding, and we need to do this part first. And I have a pack of needles that are blunt and then have a wide eye, and they are perfect for threading things through on my card making. I don't have to fight with being able to see or thread the needle. So I'm going to set this out of the way like this for the time being, and then we're going to come back to this Whisper White piece. So I've got this little, I'm going to call it a border stamp from the Jolly Gingerbread set, and I'm lining it up on my grid lines so that I can then come in with my block and know that it's straight. And then we're going to ink that up with the Blushing Bride. I'm using a full-size ink pad, and of course you received the Blushing Bride ink spot in your kit this month. And then I'm going to use my grid paper to line up my tag here. And I need to be close to the two corners. And then we're going to ink this up again. You can find grid paper in my Stampin' Up! Store, and it's great for helping you line things up. And again, we're going to come down here and try to be straightish. If you wanted this absolutely straight, you would need to use your Stamparatus. Okay, so that piece is done. Next, I've got a scrap size piece of Blushing Bride and a sentiment stamp, And I'm inking that also in the Blushing Bride. And it does not matter if we stamped straight or not on this, because that's the beauty of circle punches. This one is the 1 1/4 inch circle punch from the annual catalog. And of course you can find that in my store. When you punch with a circle, everything's straight. Okay, so let's start and layer this up. So we're going to bring this Blushing Bride tag back in. I still haven't cut my ribbon yet. And we're going to put this piece on with multi-purpose glue because it is a narrow border on between our Blushing Bride and Whisper White, and if you put it on with dimensionals you don't really see the border. Okay, and now we'll cut this off and give this a little angle cut. I like the long streamer bit of ribbon on this, and then we just need to add dimensionals. Let's put this out of the way and pull our backing off. Put this on and we'll embellish then. So I've got rhinestones for the embellishments and my take your pick tool, and I think I'm just going to use some of the small rhinestones. And this is a sweet little tag that you could put on a little gift box, or if you've left your ribbon pieces long enough, tie around a treat bag. And that's alternative 1. Let me clean up and we'll move on to the second one. For this Jolly Gingerbread alternative card, we're going to start with the house stamp. And first I've got a piece of pear pizzazz, and it is cut to 2 by 2 1/4. And we're just going to ink this up with Versamark. And let me stand back here where I can see that I'm going to come down on my piece. You could cut this a little larger if you wanted to. I did not, because I wanted to eliminate as much cutting as possible. So I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to do this again with Coastal Cabana, and just set this up on my grid paper so that it's straight, and bring the stamp down. And I'm just going to give it a press from behind because there's so much detail on the stamp. And then I've also got this in Blushing Bride. The same measurements for each of these. So we're inking up once again, stamping with a little pressure and then a little rub from behind. Okay, and now I've got a piece of scrap paper and my white Stampin' Emboss powder, and this is where I'm going to take a pair of tweezers and hold the top of each of these so that I don't get hands in the where I should have embossing powder. And since I know that my chimney is on the upper right, I can put the tweezers on the upper left and be fine. There we go. And then the final one here in the Blushing Bride. Now I am going to take these off camera to heat set them, and I will use my heat tool from behind so that I'm not blowing the embossing powder around as it heats, so there'll be less stray flecks that way. And I'll be right back. So our houses are heat set, and now it's time to take our paper snips and trim right around them. And I prefer not to trim totally up to my stamped line. That little bit of colored border that you'll have with this will help the stamped image stand out on the background. You can choose to leave more or less or no border. And then this is easy fussy cutting with your paper snips, since it's just straight lines. Of course, you can find the paper snips in my Stampin' Up! Store. So we have the Pear Pizzazz, Coastal Cabana, and Blushing Bride House. So now I've got a piece of Whisper White and my Blushing Bride ink pad. That's the color of ink that came in this month's Jolly Gingerbread paper pumpkin kit. And I'm just going to come up here and let's make sure that all of this is straight so that my stamping can be close to straight. So I'm going to go here and give this a touch all over. And then I'm going to ink this again with the Blushing Bride and do a little bit of overlap here. Okay. And then I've got a piece of Blushing Bride that is a 1/2 inch by 2 inches. And again, I'm using this grid paper to line this up. And let me just touch my stamp on my ink pad. And give that a rub and time to transfer. And it's not straight. Let's turn this over and see if I can do a better job the second time. I may move this down here where I've got more of a chance to see straight down. Okay. Of course, it helps if I put the stamp on my block straight, which I don't seem to have done. That's better. Okay, close up my ink pad. We're going to give this little banner in, so I'm cutting up the side, the center first rather, and then in from the side. And do the same thing here. Okay, and let's sweep all these little bits out of the way and start assembling our card. Okay, so we've got a Blushing Bride base that's a standard card size, cut at 5.5 by 8.5, and then scored at 4 1/4. And then we've got this Whisper White layer for the inside that is 4 by 5 1/4. And you can always use the lines on your grid paper to help you get this straight. And of course you're looking at spacing on the top and 2 sides, and then the bottom will be spaced properly. You can find the grid paper in my Stampin' Up! Store. And then we're just going to add dimensionals on the back of the Whisper White piece for the front of the card. This one is also cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then let's take all of these backing pieces off. And again, straighten it up on your grid paper. Look at the top and two sides, and then your spacing will be good. Okay, so let's add these two guys. I'm going to add a little bit of, let's do this a slightly different way. Let's add my dimensionals to the back of this house first. And I like to do a little bit of a dry fit. I'm going to add one mini Stampin' Dimensional up here on our chimney. So I want this house to be about here. And now we're going to add adhesive on these two houses and place them behind, but knowing where our Blushing Bride house will be. Okay. So let's slide this one down, and we're just leaving a little bit of border here on the side, and then we're going to slide this one in and leave just a little bit of border on the side. Make sure that he's straight. Give them both a press so that they're adhered. And this one's not quite straight. There we go. That's the beauty of the multi-purpose glue, is you've got a few seconds of wiggle room to make sure that things are straight and where you want them to be before it's adhered. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this guy down and leave just a little bit of border here at the bottom. And finally, let's pull those dimensionals back in and add them, a couple of them on the back of our sentiment. And right in here. And isn't that cute? You could send that for someone who's just bought a new house, or maybe someone who's got their first apartment, a birthday, just enjoy the day, lots of reasons. Thanks for stopping in. This was Sara Levin, the Artful Inker of theartfulinker.com. If you're not already subscribed to Paper Pumpkin, you can find the link in the description below and subscribe with me, and you'll receive the Beyond the Box tutorial bundle each month, which is full of more alternative projects. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click the bell if you'd like to be notified the next time I upload a video. Have a great day. Bye.